Hello, WhatsOnStage Podcast listeners. You know what time it is. It is Alex here with another bonus episode this Wednesday. David Gordon, the editor-in-chief of Theatre Mania, our sibling site over in New York, was lucky enough to sit down with Bridgerton star Luke Newton, who will be playing the late fashion designer Lee Alexander McQueen in a new off-Broadway play, House of McQueen, starting later this month. David wanted to hear from Luke about what it's like portraying the iconic fashion star, as well as making his New York stage debut, comparing his experiences in the rehearsal room to those on the hit TV series Bridgerton, which has just wrapped filming its 4th season.
How are rehearsals going so far? Are you in tech yet?
Yeah, we started tech yesterday, actually. So it was like first day into the theatre, sort of figuring it all out. And because we're in a brand new space and they're like creating this theatre from the ground up. So we're kind of just figuring out all those little things that I was saying to the team yesterday. It's hard enough to put a show on in a theatre that's already established and already has things are set in place. Whereas now we're kind of like figuring it all out together. But at the same time, it like only benefits us because it's kind of like a blank canvas and we can create whatever we want to within that space. So yeah, it's going really well. I'm excited to get back in today, actually.
That must be like doubly cool and also doubly terrifying knowing you guys are leading the charge of this new space.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. And yeah, I mean, I've never worked in theatre in New York, so it's kind of like I'm still figuring out the differences and how everything works. And but I'm just loving every minute, to be honest. Yesterday we got through a chunk of the play, and it always blows my mind, no matter how many times I do it, how much a piece can change as soon as you like put it on stage. And seeing everyone in their costumes for the first time, it kind of just like it already felt in a really good place, but now it just like everything is coming to life. So yeah, it's super exciting.
And I would imagine these costumes are doing a lot of extra work knowing who the play is about.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, also, we started taking the beginning of the play. So there's these sort of like 70s, 80s styles coming through from his family members, which was kind of like a big shock to see, these actors that I've been in the rehearsal room for weeks now, like completely transform. And then I'm yet to see any of Lee's designs, the versions of his designs that we've got in the play, but I'm really glad that we get an opportunity to experience that before opening, because I know that it's just going to blow my mind and I'm going to have to kind of like relax myself a little bit.
How did you come to be involved with this? Was it like your standard, you got the script and you had to audition? Did they come to you specifically?
It appeared in my inbox just one afternoon, and I was also at the time there were strangely enough, there was some theatre in London that I was reading, considering, and I had a very clear vision that once I'd wrapped season 4 of Bridgerton, like I wanted to go back to theatre. It feels like a real like safe space for me, but also it really challenges me and kind of gets me out of that routine. So I was looking for the next thing, and then it just dropped into my inbox, and I was kind of I immediately messaged my team being like, is this real? What's the deal? What's like, how far along? Because these things can come up all the time and you never really know if it's like ready to go or and then the more I learned about it, that the fact that Rick, our producer, had been like sort of prepping and planning this for the best part of 10 years, I immediately was like, I want to jump on a call with the director, and just immediately I could see his like passion and vision, and there was like no element of like insecurity. Like I felt like he was just all knowing, and I felt really safe with him. So yeah, then it just became like figuring out when and where, and yeah, it was really exciting. And it was kind of like I was in the middle of, I just wrapped season 4, and then I was doing some reshoots on a movie, and I knew that I had like a good 4 weeks, which was like for me prep time, but also get a little holiday in because I'd been, Bridgerton's like 8 to 9 months of the year, and then jumped straight onto this movie. So it all kind of just slotted in perfectly. And not to mention, obviously, the role itself just drew me in, of like playing something that's so different for me. And someone that I was aware of, but not to the extent that I now have like researched and learned so much more about. But yeah, really drew me in.
And there are worse ways than to spend the end of the summer than in New York City.
Absolutely. Like, it's all, to be honest, it's always been a dream of mine. The young actor trading in musical theatre in London. Like, my dream was to, be in New York and be working in theatre. And then when this opportunity came up with this role and this production, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to dive into this. So yeah.
Does it blow your mind, like, thinking of yourself as like the musical theater kid to knowing that like the TV heartthrob now?
I suppose. I mean, it's interesting actually, because this morning I've been thinking about how it's so hard to put all of the stages of Lee McQueen's life into a piece of theatre, because it's like he lived 9 lives. And I've always previously referred to myself as that, because of the different parts of the industry that I kind of experimented with, and started out in TV. It kind of like came from doing an amateur production of theatre in Brighton. And an agent came to see me and said, I'd love to send you for a TV audition on Friday if you're up for it. And I hadn't even considered TV at this point. And I was 17 years old at the time, and I went in and booked the job and played this part. And then I really found my love for like TV and film acting. And then after that, went back to musical theatre training. So, and then after that, explored music, and like kind of had all these different lives. And now, only stepping back and looking at like all the different experiences that Lee had, I'm like, wow, he had 9 lives. I've had 3 or 4. Yeah.
What? Well, I guess, how did you like? Tell me about your preparation for playing Lee McQueen, and just knowing the sort of the public life and the private life, and I imagine how the play intersects the two.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say we focus more on the private life and those sort of like quiet private moments and interactions with people that maybe we haven't seen in the media and in his interviews previously, which was something that really drew me in, because I didn't want to do like a version of Lee that everyone has seen, the versions of him whilst doing an interview, during a fitting, or on the runway. Like, I wanted to find this more like the human side of him, the side that many of us will connect with, and the themes and experiences that he would go through that we'd all connect with. And then trying to, I feels like a bit of a juggling act of like trying to find my version of Lee, but also I'm very aware that it's on stage. So if I really focus in on the subtleties of the way that he speaks, it became a difficult task to try and replicate that. And I wanted to solely focus on this script. So it kind of, there was lots of preparation that I did on my own, but also with the rest of the cast and directors and everyone and the writers. But then eventually it became like letting go of all the outside noise and just focusing on this story that we have within the script, which is a version of what happened in Lee McQueen's life. And then, just finding an interesting way that relates on stage, because I'm very aware, if I did the subtleties of Lee that I would like to do if I portrayed it in film, it won't read. So there's the script's so beautifully written by Darrah Cloud. There are moments of real joy. Our director loves the balance between joy and despair within this play, but there are so many like funny moments which on the page I didn't necessarily clock when I first read it, but as soon as we got into the room and started bouncing off of each other, I feel like it's a really special piece, and I'm excited to share it with everyone.
How involved is his nephew Gary? Because I know he's attached to it, and I know he's working.
I actually, I think more on I would say maybe more on the technical side. I know that he's been in close contact with Rick, our producer. I'm waiting for the moment that we can meet. But it's been really sort of interesting to find those connections, and like I say, and then try and like slightly detach from them. I know that Tim, one of the actors in the play, has spoken to Andrew, who's someone very important in Lee's life, and we had a conversation yesterday. They had a Zoom and kind of jumped on and talked about us. So we're all figuring out our own little paths on how to connect with this story and these people, and then ultimately come away from that and give our own sort of like theatrical version.
Yeah, and you're working with Emily Skinner, who's playing Lee's mom.
Yeah, my God.
I was gonna say, was she like in growing up and being involved in sort of like musical theater? Was she a figure that you knew, like, or is she someone that you've just sort of discovered and looked into the process?
Yeah, I definitely knew of Emily, and I remember getting the call or email just to say that Emily was attached, and that really sort of like fueled this excitement for me. And she's got a real presence in the rehearsal room, and I can feel, that the rest of the cast, everyone looks up to her, and for me, it was really beneficial. You coming straight out of working in film, she kind of gave me the sense of like she gave me a place a starting point. I see my first scene with her. We kind of like established a dynamic between our characters, and we're still figuring out. Even yesterday, I had such a strange moment where I assumed that coming from the rehearsal room and then going to the theater that I would dial things up, 20%, because I know that we're in a larger space. But actually, the theater is so intimate that it kind of made everything go zoom. And I was talking to the other actors how it kind of, I started to explore more of the subtleties of the piece rather than like focusing on this like big performance. So yeah, Emily definitely sets the bar for that, and then we're all looking to her.
Are there any similarities between your Bridgerton role and this one, or is that totally off bit? Like, do you like as you're doing this, do you see other facets in there?
I don't know. I feel like probably for the first time in a long time, there aren't many similarities. And I'm actually, that's probably the thing that I'm enjoying the most. Is like discovering, I'm looking back now, and I think we're coming up to like 6 years of Bridgerton. So to dive into something that feels completely different from that, and collaborate on it with this amazing cast, it feels like we're all kind of in this world. It's funny how I always think about the differences between working in film or in Bridgerton and in theatre. And I think I was discussing it with Emily yesterday, actually, of like, Tech Week is just something that we would never have on screen. So like the stops and the starts of it, and the whole process of that, I found it so valuable because I'm figuring out all those transitions. This piece is particularly tricky for my character because we jump back and forth in time through different moments in his life. So the emotional stakes shift like within a second, but just have like slowing things down slightly and getting into tech has really helped me figure out those transitions and make tweaks. And I've been, running over to Sam, our director, just being like, actually, if I do this instead of this, that connects to that, and it makes that work. It's all just like piecing the puzzle together. So yeah, I don't know if
it's good. It's good enough. Have you had any of the hey, who you look like yet when you're in line to like get breakfast or something?
No, I mean, to be honest, I've only just trimmed this in last night because we started to look at the hair and makeup of it.
Yeah.
And we're still exploring. And I had a moment yesterday because we've got some amazing effects, like visual effects that we're working with on the production. And there's a scene when my character's being interviewed, and we've got this massive screen that has like multiple versions of the characters. And the director looked up and was like, "You look more like Lee on this screen than you do in real life. Like it was really throwing our director." So I'm excited to go in today with the facial hair and get into costume and see how people respond.
Are you? Would you ever do a musical again? Do you want to do more?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm kind of just like figuring out the next step each time that I'm on one. It's like I'm figuring out what I do next. But like it's always, from growing up and watching my aunties and West End shows, it was something that it's like I've got a real love for. So yeah, I'm really enjoying. Like there was a someone mentioned yesterday, because we've got so much music in the play, and someone mentioned like breaking into song, and we're all talking about different moments that it would work within this piece. But I think I'm really happy that this piece is sort of like it is a play and a dramatized version of what happened. And yeah, I'm happy this to be a play, and I'm excited for a musical to come up in the near future.
Luke, I appreciate your time. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. Be well. Have a great tech day. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You too. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the What's on Stage podcast. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment, and all round rave about us wherever you can. We'll be back with the main episode on Friday and a smattering of bonus episodes when we can.